Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Rohan Khandelwal. I'm a breast cancer surgeon and a surgery faculty. So in today's video, I would like to discuss a concept which is commonly used in the financial world, and I want to apply it to your studies or your exam preparation. And let's see how we can use this principle of a systematic investment plan to improve the results in our exams and studies. So let's get on with it. So systematic investment plan or SIP is when you invest small amount of money every month consistently, so that even if there is a fall and rise in the market, you will still get consistent returns over the years. So in the graph you can see that if you're putting in consistent efforts, your returns would always be higher as compared to erratic efforts, right? Now let's apply this to the exam principle, or whenever you're preparing for any entrance exam or any exam in life. If you're consistent, even if you're putting in less number of hours every day, but doing it consistently, you're more likely to do well than if you study well for 1 week and then you don't study for 2 weeks. And typically what we've seen, what happens is that whenever the exam gets over, and the results come out, and if you have to start preparing again, so initially there is that lethargy, right? You don't want to start studying. Then when you make up your mind, then you're very enthusiastic all of a sudden, and you might put in 1 or 2 weeks of great studies, but after that the enthusiasm fizzles out and again your performance dips, right? Then when you become anxious, you'll again put in 1 week of good effort, and then again the efforts would fizzle out. Right, so such erratic efforts don't give rise to great results. We need to be consistent in our efforts to get a good score and a good rank in an exam. So if we have to apply this principle of SIP to our studies, what are the key components which we need to keep in mind? So I'm just going to enlist them here and then discuss them in detail in my subsequent talk. So first of all, we need to know our goal. There needs to be proper planning and implementation, and we need to provision for rainy days and reevaluate our plan regularly. Okay, so let's talk about each one in detail. So first, about the goal. Now this is very important. If you talk to any financial advisor, the first thing which they will ask you is that what are your goals? What are your financial goals in life? And you need to write down those financial goals, because only when you've written them will you really work hard to achieve them. The same goes for studies as well. So before any exam, it was a habit of mine to write down my goal, that this is what I want to achieve out of this exam, whether it's a rank or a score or a percentage. I used to write it down, and I just used to keep it at a place where only I knew where it was. I didn't make it public for everyone in my house to see. So just where I knew it was there, and I then used to work hard every day to achieve that goal. So always aim high, right? Because you might not hit the target. Sometimes when you're doing financial planning, things might not go right and you might not hit your goal. But even if you're slightly below that, it is still a high value. It is still better than others. Okay? And the famous quote, aim for the moon. If you miss, you may still hit a star, right? So always aim high and write down your goal. This is the first step in financial planning and to do well in any exam as well. Proper planning, I feel, is very, very important, right? And of course, implementation of that plan. So whenever you are making a financial plan, the financial advisor would ask you what are the goals and what is the time horizon, right? When do you want to buy a house? In how many how many years you want to buy a luxury car? So you need to know the time horizon as well, because your efforts would be proportional to the time horizon which is there. Okay. Now when it comes to exam preparation, always remember that we need to keep 2 to 2.5 months for revision. Now whether this exam is NEET UG, NEET PG, UPSC or any exam, you need to keep time for revision as well, right? Because if you don't revise what you have already read, then the entire exercise is a waste. So always keep time for revision, know your time horizon, and then plan your inputs or your study hours or your study efforts accordingly. Then you need to know your capacity, right? Now somebody might do an SIP of 20,000 every month, whereas somebody might have the capacity to do an SIP of 5 lakh rupees every month, right? So the capacity of an individual varies. Similarly, the capacity to study and to put in those hours also varies. So you need to analyze that for yourself, right? Your plan might not be the same as your friend's plan, right? So don't mix the two. Your friend might be studying more because he might require one extra reading to understand things, but that might not be the case in you. You might grasp things faster. So assess your capacity, analyze your inputs, and make the plan accordingly to your needs. You need to tailor it to your needs. Your financial goals and your aspirations are yours only, okay? So, and don't be disturbed if your inputs are different from others, okay? You can still achieve the same result. Finally, when we are doing a planning, we need to know which mutual fund or which share to buy. So those are the instruments or resources. Similarly, you have multiple resources which you have when you're preparing for the exam. Now, there are two types of people, right? One are those who are very systematic and who've been planning since a long time, right? So they know that, okay, to achieve this goal, I can take slightly riskier bets and I can take slightly safer bets. And I can take multiple sources, but I have a very clear plan in mind and I will be able to achieve it. But everyone might not be the same, right? And they might not be able to over diversify and still do well. Okay, a financial guru will always tell you that if you have too many mutual funds, then your returns will suffer. So over diversification also hampers performance. So at the most, have one or two resources, and you need to have that clarity that supposing X subject I want to do from this resource, Y subject I want to do from this resource. So one or two resources are good enough for your preparation. Have that clarity regarding where you want to do which topic from. Because if that clarity is not there, your planning in your studies will go wayward. Please remember that proper planning can prevent poor performance, but planning is not enough. You have to implement that plan as well, okay? Implementation and then reevaluating your plan, whether you are achieving your targets, whether you're on track or not, is also very important. And don't forget to provision for rainy days, right? You might be an intern, you might have a heavy posting, you might not be able to study that month, okay? There might be some family crisis, you might not be able to study that month that well, okay? So always provision for rainy days. When you're making a plan, keep some rainy days aside so that even if you can't study those days, your overall plan does not suffer, okay? Reevaluation is very, very important. Every 2 months or every quarter, reevaluate where you stand. Are you on track? Are you ahead of track? Or are you falling below? And you should be flexible enough to re-improvise, okay? Don't get bogged down. Supposing you're not achieving your targets, please don't get bogged down. You need to re-improvise, re-plan, and then re-implement, okay? It is possible. Always remember that, success isn't always about greatness. There will of course be some students who are geniuses, right? And they will always tell you that we didn't study at all and still they got a great result. But for the masses, it's about consistency. Consistent hard work will definitely lead to success. And once you're successful, greatness will follow. So I hope you can take some key pointers out of this video and try to implement this systematic investment plan strategy to your studies or to your exam. And remember that consistency and regular effort is the key. If you like the video, please do press the like button and subscribe to my channel. If you have any queries, please do write them in the comment section and I'll be happy to address them. Thank you.